6:31. Still to come on the programme this morning.
At 7:45, meet the adventurer who went to Antarctica. He didn't just go to Antarctica, he rode.
Doesn't that look grim?
That would be my worst.
Mine too.
Nightmare.
No, thank you.
Right.
But he did that.
But this man, well, he had heart surgery, and then he decided, I'm going to row to Antarctica, and he broke 8 world records in the process.
Wow.
I just think seasick. And do you see
and
that?
Cold.
And I'll tell you this, do you notice that water, what colour it is? It's black. I remember being in a yacht race. It was part of a TV programme I was doing, and the sea was so awful, constantly sick, and all I remember is the colour of the sea was black. Nightmare.
Well, anyway, we'll be hearing from him, and we'll also be hearing from the government this morning. Concerns there could be a backlash against any possible Northern Ireland Protocol deal. 100 Tory MPs may well rebel. We'll be talking to them about that at 8:10.
Nobody understands it. What are they debating about? Nobody understands. I mean, honestly, do you understand the Northern Ireland Protocol, Article 16, and all the rest? Let us know.
We're going through the papers this morning, joined by the former editor of the Daily Star, Dawn Neeson, and the Olympian Chris Akabusi. Very good morning. Lovely to have you two on a Monday morning. But I'm afraid terribly bleak news front of pretty much every newspaper this morning is the discovery of a body yesterday just a mile from where Nicola Bulley went missing. Police keen at this stage, Dawn, to stress that they haven't confirmed it was her, but it seems most likely that it will be.
It would be very much coincidence if there was another body in the water, but obviously we don't know. And there's been enough speculation about this case from day one, hasn't there, really? But you can only hope that whatever the outcome of this discovery, that it does bring some comfort to the family, because I've interviewed enough families of missing people over the years, and it's the hope that always gets you, Isabel. You know, unless you have closure, you will never know, and that does destroy you. But yes, this is a body a mile downstream from where Nicola disappeared, ending possibly 3 weeks of uncertainty, hell, and as I said, the hope for the family. But there are huge questions about the whole way this has been handled, and the fact that it was a couple of walkers who discovered the body when we have had so many experts, the police there for 3 weeks, and we had an underwater special search team, didn't we? And it was people walking their dogs that discovered this body, which must have been fairly horrific for them as well. But I do think questions have to be asked about how the police have handled this and the relationship between the press and the police, which I think is at an all-time low. And I think some of the speculation that we've barraged with, which poor Nicola's family must have been awful, has resulted from the fact that the way the police didn't hand out the necessary information at the right time. I mean, Nicola's mental health issues could have been, the press could have been briefed on that at the beginning. So when the police had this theory about she went into the water, the press would have understood a bit more about why they thought that, rather than going, well, you've got the proof, no proof, why is that? And I hate to say that, I think then the police revealing all this very personal information, almost as a knee-jerk, I do have to ask whether they were covering their own backsides a bit about how they've handled things, I must admit. But all you can say is you just hope that there is some kind of closure, some sort of comfort in these developments for Nicola's poor families. You just keep thinking of those little girls.
It's the girls that have to be.
Sorry, why does everybody say that?
What do you mean?
She's got a partner as well. She's got parents. Everybody.
No, of course.
No, but the police news conference the other day just kept mentioning the 2 little girls. But she has got a partner. Does he not heard
No,
the
of
father
course
of those
they
children?
do. But 2 little girls, mothers are absolutely fundamental.
She's got a family. She's got a family.
Of course she has.
Got a family. I think we've all invested in Nicola Bulley. None of us knew her, but we all feel as if we wanted to know her, and she seems so accessible. Let's move on to front page of The Guardian, Chris. Top scientist issues a stark warning on shattered healthcare workers. There's a global morale crisis which needs tackling, apparently.
Yeah, Professor Farr, he's the director, welcome, soon to be the chief scientist of the World Health Organization, and states the obvious, that our healthcare workers, including ambulance workers, junior doctors, physios, midwives, nurses. They're striking for a reason, and when you get that sort of level of professional who've committed their life, and they don't actually do it for the money, they do it for service, but money is very important. That's how we show how we value people. They're feeling undervalued, under-resourced. Their colleagues are leaving in their droves, so they're understaffed. Quite clearly, the morale and resilience is low. These are the people that we were clapping for and cheering for during COVID, and they said that, well, we stood the line, we're held up, and I know there's been some altar images of them dancing, etc., but in essence, they stood there and they took the flak, and they're now saying, well, we can't keep on going like this. Junior doctors over the last decade or so have had a 26% real terms decrease in their wages, and at some stage you've got to say, ouch, this shoe is pinching. And as I said, Professor Farr is saying they can't stand it any longer, and they're breaking down. Colleagues are not returning to work, and morale in the health service is at an all-time low.
It is interesting, though, he does make it very clear that it's a global issue. It's not just in the United Kingdom where the whole strike action has been, obviously striking is political, but incredibly politicised. I mean, you see people on picket lines with Tories out type thing, which I think distracts from what you're saying, Chris, which is that people do, in the health service, are on their knees, they are really suffering, and they do need support and help because they have been through an awful lot. But, I mean, Jeremy Farrar is saying here that it's a global issue, and he is about to be appointed our chief scientist at the World Health Organization, so who also have questions to be answered about the way they handle the pandemic as well, don't they? But it's not just this country, and I'm quite pleased that The Guardian have mentioned the fact that it's not just this country, and therefore taking it away from the politics.
You only just think back to last week in the headlines, and you had Western Australia bidding to bring in all of our nurses and people in the health sector saying, you know what, come and work for us, it's sunny, you'll get paid more, cost of living's lower. And you can just imagine these burnt out nurses up and down the country thinking, you know what, I'm going to pack a suitcase and it's a real worry. So,
well, and then that will also just add to the under-resourcement of our own National Health Service.
Absolutely.
Because everyone will, and why wouldn't you? If you're not valued in your own country, why wouldn't you go somewhere else?
Now, let's talking about health. Here is a story, which is that sickness is the real reason that people over 50 are giving up work, and this is page 2 of the Times.
Yeah. So this is the reason people actually give up work, but the story was linked to the idea of the government wanting over 50s to return to work. Now, there's a lot of reasons why people are not returning to work when you're in your over 50s. Back off the pandemic, we got used to staying at home. There was furlough for some people, so they were paid, and realised that actually home's quite a nice place. I mean, I got quite familiar with my home. Traditionally, my home's been a place to lay my head. I've been out and I've gone to work. But all of a sudden, I was stuck at home and I realised I've got a lovely garden.
Well, it was sunny, wasn't it? I think everyone had this rose-tinted memories of their sunny...
Yes. And also, I was very fortunate that I could actually work from home. Now this is about people returning to work, but people are saying, I want quality of life. So when they look at what's on the market, they're asking themselves, well, do I really need that sort of stress when I've got a pension, I can take some money out of, if you're lucky to have a home where you've got some equity in it, I can take some equity out of my home. And also then you've got the other side where a lot of people who are over 50s have become de facto childcare for their...
Look, so what it's saying here basically is, if you're not working, it's probably because of ill health.
Yeah, well, that's the reason why you've not returned initially.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, but you've actually...
There are other attractions.
There's a quality...
Right, well, here's the big drawback, and it always would be for me. There's two things. Health is your wealth, without a doubt, and when you hit 50, things change.
Absolutely, big time.
Yes.
Things drop off.
Well, things do.
So, don't worry, you've got a while to go.
I've got 10 years.
And then they get worse when you get into your 60s, it has to be said. But and then the other thing, Jeremy Hunt, the Chancellor, He uses this patronising. He said, it's time to get off the golf course and find a second or third career. Now, you're a golfer, Chris.
Yeah.
Do you know how much it costs to play a round of golf in a decent course? About 100 quid, isn't it?
Oh, easy.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah.
Go out and hit 18 holes. So, unless you have money, you have to have a lot of money to socialise and play golf.
The normal citizen's not. The
But I
normal
think you have
citizen's
to have a lot of money to give up work at 50. So I think it's fair enough he's trying to get people.
I think a lot of people cut their cloth during the pandemic and realised they could survive, and a lot of them had jobs they didn't like. I'm lucky enough to have a job I love, but jobs they didn't particularly enjoy. And as Chris pointed out, a lot of people are now caring for grandchildren because childcare is too expensive. So, but I do find this incredibly patronising for older people as well. It's like if they don't want to work, and they're not claiming on the state.
I think it's interesting. This pensions expert wading into it, and we've spoken to people on this programme saying a lot of guys and girls quitting work in their 50s don't realise actually a lot of people living into their 90s now, and what could have been deemed a decent pension back in the day may not see you all the way to 90.
but then people are being quite savvy in the way that they are. There's a cash economy, there's a bartering system, I do this for you, you do this for me. There are benefits, so some people who are at a certain section of the community, that there are different benefits that they get. So there are all sorts of way of crafting a life that doesn't tie you to an employer who demands more and gives you less.
I must admit, look, sitting here talking in a nice cosy TV studio at a certain age is fantastic. But if I was out, laying tarmac on roads or something, I wouldn't want to be doing that in my 50s. Sorry.
That's a very good point.
No.
Chris, can we go to the Daily Star? They're talking about Brum's Rush.
Yes,
and this
exactly.
is about gold dust panning in Birmingham.
And this is an ex-soldier. You see, us squaddies, we're getting all over the place. This is an ex-soldier, an ex-squaddie. He's done a little bit of mining. He was inspired by the Discovery Channel to go and do a bit of mining. And he does say, look, it is a lot of hard work, and he's been up there every day, but he's got himself really into it, and he's been sifting and sieving, and he's found little bits of gold. Now, he's kept it really, really quiet. He doesn't want to say quiet. He's kept the location quiet, save for it's near water on a golf course.
In golf Birmingham. Golf again.
So I'm thinking, Belfry, watch out. The Aston, watch out. All these little places in Birmingham. All of a sudden, you're going to have an onrush.
The gold rush.
Of the gold rush in Birmingham. But I think it's a nice little story. Typical squad. He's having a little good old go, and he's making something of his life.
Why did you pick Birmingham?
Well, I guess that's where he comes from.
Oh, right.
I guess he's fallen out of his backyard, and every day he goes to Birmingham, sifts the water, has a little look, sees what's inside there, and he's come up with a little bit of gold. I'm sure he's found a lot of other things that are not worth talking about this time of the day, but he's found a little bit of gold. So,
Dawn, the BAFTAs last night, and on the red carpet, and guests of honour, the Princess of Wales, drawing attention for her long, slinky black gloves.
Yes, exactly. Evidently, and I've read this in the Daily Mail, they are the height of fashion, the opera gloves, the long black opera gloves, which she wore with her Alexandra McQueen. I also read this, I know what I'm talking about, obviously. Her Alexandra McQueen long white dress, which she's had altered, and she's recycled it. She's worn it before, so great. And she looks very, very, very lovely. But she was also wearing £17.99 cascading floral earrings from Zara.
that's lovely.
Do you know, there was a bit of a backlash online. I don't know if you saw people were saying she looked like she dipped her hands into tarmac.
I have to admit, I didn't.
It wasn't instant love for the gloves.
No, I didn't really. I thought they looked a bit awkward. I'm sorry. Sorry. She's very gorgeous.
She can wear anything.
They look like, she looked like she was going to go on, I don't know, plumb a sink or something or other. Just stick her hands down the toilet.
Fancy marigolds.
Yes, exactly.
What I noticed last night, and I don't know whether the hall did not have, what are they called, balcony booths, boxes.
It's a Royal Festival, wasn't it?
Yeah,
The Royal Festival Hall. But they were in amongst the punters, weren't they? They were in amongst everybody else.
They do have boxes there, so I don't know why they were sitting there, but it just went on. I'm sorry. How many BAFTAs were they handed out? 26?
But I think that's what we've noticed, though, very much with King Charles and the Prince and Princess of Wales, is that they've really sort of come and are involved with their people. And I mean, I once saw King Charles recently dancing with, I think it was a Jewish ceremony. But anyway, I saw him in there and dancing and really having a good time, which, I mean, I obviously love the Queen. We all love the Queen, but you couldn't imagine the Queen doing that.
No, more
so
touch.
Yeah, exactly right. So I mean, I remember when I got my MBE, they were told you don't extend your hand to the Queen. The Queen extends her hand to you, and then she'll push you away when she's ready.
Yeah.
So you know, very firm protocols. You had the same, did you, Eamonn?
She very firmly pushed me away. When I asked her for an interview, we were talking, and I said, I've interviewed everyone in your family, Mum, with one exception. She said, really? Who's that? I said, you, Mum, but we can fix that tonight. And she went, ah.
You actually asked her for an interview. Love it. Brilliant.
And
Good
for
for
a penny
you.
and for a pound.
Yeah, good for you.
Guys, thank you.
Thank
Dawn
you.
and Chris are going to be back in 45 minutes' time.